Uh-oh.
What's uh-oh?
Our videos aren't up. Give us a sec, y'all. Technical difficulties again.
What the hell?
All right.
Are we good? Sorry, everybody.
No, we're not. I'm going to have to figure this one out. Talk for a minute.
Okay. What's up, guys? Sorry. We keep having these damn technical difficulties.
Streamlabs had an update today and then reverted its own update. So I'm blaming Streamlabs.
That's the server. That's the platform that we use to run this thing. But hell. Yep. There's a whole lot of nothing on that screen right now. Sorry, everybody.
I got us back. Give me a sec.
We're good? Okay. It's just going to take a minute. But what's going on, everybody who's in here so far?
What's happening, y'all? Oh, man. What's going on, Slim? What's going on, Rojo?
What's up, guys? I don't see it quite yet, but I know we're on a bit of a delay here. Okay. What were they trying to update today?
I don't know. They had they forced updates to you, so you can't even choose to stay on the older update. You have to update to the newest one that they send out, and then you're just hit with whatever repercussions happen. So we thought we didn't have a ticker, and then when they reverted, we got the ticker back, but the video is off. But we're back.
All right.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Face Mask Fantasy.
Yes, sir. You already know.
Yeah, Tuesday stream. Hope y'all had a good weekend.
What happened this weekend? The Masters. I'm not a golf connoisseur, but the Masters happened, if anybody's into that.
People were like hype about Tiger being back in the fold.
Yeah. Good for Tiger. Good for Tiger that he, bounced back from what was billed as basically a life-threatening car accident.
Yeah, they were going to have to amputate his leg, and he came back, so respected.
Came back, was made the cut for the final 2 days of the Masters. That's pretty damn impressive. But that's about it. My dog is dreaming loudly.
There was the unfortunate passing of Dwayne Haskins. So
that did happen.
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, rest in peace to Dwayne. Yeah, a little somber note.
Yeah, so it wasn't news that got us all up in our seats for fantasy, but that one was tough. That one sucked. Sucked to hear.
It gets you up in your seat for a different type of reason, like a holy shit type of moment. Like, what happened? Was working out with Steelers teammates in Florida. Sounded like it was maybe like the last day of this little session that they had together or something like that.
Mitchell Trubisky had brought everybody out, is what I had heard.
Yeah, I guess he must have like an off-season home there or something like that. These NFL players, they have off-season homes in Florida, Texas, California, all the southern, in southern parts of the country where it's nice all year round. So that would make sense. But yeah, tragic news update to get. Unbelievably sad. Probably had an outside shot.
Just like a fantasy thing. He was 24 years old.
No, he was 20. He was going to be,
terrible.
Right. So, obviously thoughts with his family, friends, obviously his teammates and coaches. I didn't play football growing up, but I have been a part of team sports. You end up coming in, you meet and come into contact with a lot of people. You develop, some of these people, and I'm not a professional athlete, so a lot of these relationships come and go. I'm sure it's the same for a lot of athletes, but like you meet a lot of people. And when you're on a football team, any given time, that's like 45 to 50 people who at the very least you're shaking hands and introducing yourself.
And it's not like he had just gotten to that team either. I know he was kind of ran out of Washington for whatever reason, but he had been in Pittsburgh for 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
He had a promise from Tomlin that he would be in the running to be possibly the starter this year, depending on who won in camp. So, I mean, I was honestly a little bit excited to see if he was going to be able to do anything and return any value from a fantasy perspective. And this is not a fantasy discussion at all. It's just sad. So,
yeah.
RIP to him. It's got to be tough for all the teammates involved. TJ Watt came out and said some stuff. Mike Tomlin came out and said some stuff. So, yeah, it's tough. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's the only thing fantasy relevant-wise that came out of this weekend, or football relevancy-wise that came out of this weekend.
Football-related story.
What's going on, Alex?
What's up, Alex? Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big one. It stole the. I mean, I don't think anything. I can't think of anything else that happened on Saturday. It happened on Saturday.
There was the Washington Commanders' whole situation with the whole legal situation that popped off with them. Again, not a fantasy situation, but I mean, we know that the Commanders' whole front office, whole situation there, it's just bad. It's just bad. And
they were like they were withholding information about ticket revenue.
$5 million in ticket sales is what the figure came out to today. They withheld $5 million in ticket sales somewhere.
Man, like
in terms of the revenue sharing for all of the NFL, I believe. But yeah, Dan Snyder being Dan Snyder.
Yeah, being the slime ball that he is.
Yeah.
We don't need to mince words here. I don't know what it's going to take to force him out.
I think this is it. Stealing from the other teams, stealing money from the other teams is going to get him out.
How many more incidents? Yeah, I mean, this is legitimate. This is like a legitimate legal, like, not that other things weren't legitimate, but like how many things need to come up for something to finally happen to that guy?
They can't keep sweeping things under the rug and just shrugging like it doesn't work. Yo, Rojo, dude offered me Lockett and my 201. What do we think? I'm thinking about declining this. I think you should too.
201.
I think you should decline that. I think you can get a younger version of Lockett at the 201.
Mm-hmm.
Jahan Dotson should be there. You've been a fan of Wan'Dale Robinson. Me, not so much.
Not at the 201.
Not at the 201. But I mean, if Jahan Dotson is there at 201, I would take a shot on that.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. With taking a chance on Dotson.
Sky Moore. If Sky Moore is there at 201 and Jahan Dotson is off the board, and you're looking at the wide receivers and George Pickens is off, and all the other wide receivers ahead of him are off, I wouldn't have a problem snatching up Sky Moore there either.
There was kind of lost in the Haskins news over the weekend was I saw this on Twitter, and this was like, I think this was a combination. This was like a fan. It wasn't necessarily any type of report from a beat reporter or whatever, but it was but somebody picked it up, like a Seahawks fan page with a lot of followers. So, you know, they're not a reputable news source, but they have a big following, and they grabbed it and, you know, they screenshot it and sent a quote tweet. And it was alluding to how Drew Lock there were Broncos fans that like attested to going to training camp, seeing Drew Lock take like a lot of the offseason starter reps. And then Vic Fangio named Teddy Bridgewater the starter ultimately because, you know, and again, this is all hearsay. None of this is a report. None of this is confirmed. We're just having a conversation. Allegedly, Vic Fangio didn't like Drew Lock. And you know how coaches get, right? They get like sometimes the bad
honestly,
coaches.
It was a surprise to you and me at the time. It was, regardless of the coaches saying whatever or a screenshot of a tweet. It was just weird. We both thought there was not no way, but a much smaller chance of Teddy Bridgewater becoming the starter for the entire year than Drew Lock, considering the age, what we already know about Teddy Bridgewater versus the relative unknown in Drew Lock, the upside that Drew Lock presents. So, yeah, it was a surprise to me.
The point, yeah. So bad coaches, and Vic Fangio's fine as a defensive coordinator, but he's clearly not cut out to be a head coach in the NFL.
No,
they let this type of stuff happen where they let personal feelings or whatever get in the way of their decision making. And the whole gist of it here is that Drew Lock got the short end of the stick at the end of his tenure in Denver. The jury's out on what he is as a quarterback in this league, but if the Seahawks don't make what I think is going to be a difficult move to move up and get a quarterback, and even if they do draft a rookie, I don't think Tyler Lockett, yes, his value is down right now because of Russell Wilson's departure, but it's currently at its lowest point. I think we got to let this play out before we give up Tyler Lockett for the 201.
If it was the 212, sure, I would do that.
If you were getting Tyler Lockett.
If I was getting Tyler Lockett for the 212,
yeah,
I would probably say, sure, if I'm a contender, yeah, let me get this veteran wide receiver who's overproduced every single year he's been on the squad, albeit with Russell Wilson, and see what happens this year with Drew Lock, because we saw last year with Geno Smith, DK Metcalf was still a wide receiver one, a mid to high end wide receiver one, and at the expense of Tyler Lockett, but you never know who a quarterback's favorite is going to be.
Yup. I guess I'm saying I'm intrigued by Tyler Lockett, but because he's 30. So yeah, the 201 is a little too valuable for me in this offer. I guess I just wanted to say, like, maybe you could get Tyler Lockett for a later second round pick. Yeah, like what you were mentioning.
But even then, I would rather send out an offer for Adam Thielen over Tyler Lockett for the same asking price.
Yeah, there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more like certainty there, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I went off on a bit of a tangent there.
No, that's what we're here for.
I prefer to keep the 201. That being said, I'm not out on exploring something to acquire Tyler Lockett if you feel like you have a top 6 roster in your league.
Me neither. But I just told you what my limit would be a late, 211,
late
212.
Yeah.
I mean, 210.
I was gonna say, would you come up to like the 209-ish?
If they're asking for more, and I have that draft capital, if I have the 209, the 211, and the 212 or something, if I've accumulated that draft capital, I'm waiting until my rookie draft.
Okay.
In order to make a move like that, so I can just see how the board falls before that pick. If there's somebody there that I really like, if somebody falls that I really like, it'll hurt if I traded that pick away for Tyler Lockett and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And this rookie is on somebody else's team
Woods.
now. Hey, don't talk about Jelani.
We are rebranding to the Jelani Woods hype show.
I'll get some T-shirts made. Yeah,
there we go. I'm into it. What's Tyler Lockett's redraft ADP? I'm curious about that right now.
Yeah, Rojo, you got a lot of picks. I remember you saying that. You got the 109, the 110, the 201, 10-man Superflex. Yeah, and I'm taking into account 12-man. If you're in a 10-man, I'm definitely not giving away that 201.
Yeah, the 201 is essentially a first-round pick. It's the 111 in it. Yeah. I'm just curious to see Tyler Lockett's current redraft ADP. Just out of curiosity.
And Rojo, that might be the best bet. The 201, just hold on to that 201 until the day of the draft, until it's on the clock, and then see if you can move it for a haul. If in a 10-team league somebody fell in love with somebody there that you're not completely in on, you walk away with George Pickens and Jahan Dotson, and then whatever you can get for that 201, you'll probably get a haul at that point, because rookie picks are most valuable when they're on the clock.
When the time comes to actually cash them in, yeah. I don't think you're going to have to pray, though. I think they're both... I think Pickens and Dotson will... Yeah, I think they'll be there, especially if Ritter goes in the first round, which regardless of 10 or 12 in a Superflex draft, he probably should. I mean, depends on how much.
That would absolutely be my pick at 201, but
depends on how much the league likes this year's crop of quarterbacks.
And I tell you,
your league,
my stance on these quarterbacks is, yes, we know they're not the consensus all-time great quarterback draft that we just came off of, or really anything close. They're average, which means one or two of these guys is probably going to get a shot at least starting for 2 to 3 years. And
yeah, I mean,
decent,
they'll get a
decent.
year at least. Yeah,
we've seen in the NFL teams completely swerve off of a guy that didn't show anything after one season. We've seen that.
Only like once though, the Cardinals, right, with Rosen.
Right.
Teams are stubborn, man, especially with quarterbacks. They stick with them longer than they should, if it's anything less than like any type of promise or potential. So yeah,
but with this caliber of quarterback, I'm talking about. I mean, Paxton Lynch went to the wayside real quick. All these guys that are probably going to be second and third round pick quarterbacks in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
The chances that the team moves off them if they're not completely sold on what they have is a lot higher than a first round draft capital, top 10 draft capital type pick. And there's really only one guy in this year's draft that I think is that type of dude. It's Malik Willis.
Yeah.
So while a lot of these other guys might get picked in the first round, I would bet that they're going to get picked probably somewhere in the second and third.
Mm-hmm.
And second and third round quarterbacks get passed up after a year. They do. So that wasn't really even the point that I was trying to make. The point that I was trying to make was, don't be afraid of investing in these quarterbacks.
Right.
One of them's going to be good.
Yeah. We're just both going on tangents today. No, I mean, it's enticing because, these picks, these quarterbacks are going to push down. Again, we've talked about this with the 2022 draft. There's a bit more of a premium on high-end talent compared to, say, what we expect is available next year at running back and wide receiver. So it's tempting, if you're in that like middle back half range of the first round, if you've got like 5, 6, 7, 8 somewhere, if a Drake London falls, if a Kenneth Walker falls, if if Olave is there, right? It's tempting to take those guys. But the smart play might be, say, Kenny Pickett. If your league mates ahead of you are I don't know if disrespecting is the right word, but just not taking quarterbacks in a superflex league higher than they probably should, just because of the importance of the position.
Or if you happen to know that somebody's really in on, say, Olave and they fall, or Jameson Williams and they fall.
Williams is another one, yeah.
If the person right behind you is really hot on Jameson Williams and really wants him, and you know that, and you've had talks with them, you know how they feel, and you trade away your pick to move back one spot, pick up a late second in a year from now, and then you still get your quarterback. That would be the absolute smartest way to play the situation. In that specific
as tempting situation. As Williams could end up in a super tempting situation where it's like, I just really want to take this guy, but long term it might, the quarterback might be the play in superflex. Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this year the reclamation project at quarterback. I mean, we got Marcus Mariota starting for a team, projected
right.
Mitchell Trubisky starting for a team.
Yep.
Carson
Only
Wentz,
took one.
a team just traded away draft picks and took on salary to get Carson Wentz.
Yup.
Drew Lock got moved and might be a starter. Like it is the reclamation project season at quarterback in the NFL in 2022.
You can bank on teams being desperate for quarterbacks every season.
So if you can pick up one of those quarterbacks with the understanding that, hey, they might get benched in year 2, but they might come back in year 4 on a different team in a better situation.
Right.
Like these quarterbacks are getting second and third lives.
Yep.
Because of the importance of the of the position. Right. So don't be afraid to draft quarterbacks this year just because everybody's down on the class.
And I agree with you, but also just wanted to that point, draft capital is important as well. You know, Marcus Mariota, Mitchell Trubisky, both, and Carson Wentz, the second overall pick in the draft, right? Former. Those players, to your point, are going to get second, third, fourth chances. Jared Goff's probably not going. He's not going to finish his career on the Lions.
No, he's going to get a third chance to start
somewhere else. Yeah. So yeah, like if it's a second round, if it's a player taken in the second round of the NFL draft, okay, fine. There's a little less assurance that guy's going to have 9 lives. But a quarterback drafted in the first round, and yeah, there are flameouts. Paxton Lynch, Josh
Christian
Rosen.
Hackenberg. I mean,
he was a second round pick, right?
in the first round. EJ Manuel, Geno Smith was a first round pick, I believe, too. So they're out there.
Geno was a second round pick.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, and so was Hackenberg. So I'll just caveat.
Definitely was. Geno Smith, I thought he was a first round pick for some reason.
He plummeted. He plummeted that draft to the second round, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure he plummeted. And I'll look that up. The point is, I agree with you, but only if the capital is NFL first round capital. So if Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral are taken in the top 20 and Desmond Ridder finds his way into the first round, yeah, it makes sense to draft those quarterbacks in your rookie draft.
Yeah, and Alex, you discovered an app. I'll get to your comment in a sec. But because Rojo Fish's next comment ties into the quarterbacks,
yeah,
George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, and either Corral or Ridder is actually a pretty nice start for the draft for me. Can't give up the QB pick for a Lockett. Exactly.
Right.
In terms of Corral or Ridder, who do you like more? And then we'll go back up to Alex's comment.
Geno was drafted number 39 overall, so he slipped 7 spots into the second round.
There you go.
Oof. Sorry, Geno. For dynasty purposes, or just for playing fantasy?
Yeah, who do you like more? If you're at 201 and Ridder and Corral are on the board, who do you like more?
Ridder. I prefer Ridder, and his stock is rising right now. It sounds like he's kind of comfortably going to be a first round pick.
I know, I was hoping he wasn't going to be, but it is what it is.
It sounds like it's going to be. I mean, I'm at the point now in Superflex where I'm not sure you can take him. I'm not sure you can take any of the skill guys other than Hall, Wilson, Burks, and maybe Walker over him, depending on landing spot and draft capital, NFL draft capital.
Yes.
If he goes in the first round and it's like you've got the 106, the 107, and he's there, Hall is gone. Let's say you love Wilson like I do. He's gone. Let's say you like Burks. He's gone. Let's say you could use a running back. Walker's gone. Olave's there. Jameson Williams is there. I think you got to take Ridder depending on the spot that he goes.
That's going a little too high for me personally because
you got to think about it. You got to think about it.
And I've been slamming the table for the importance of quarterbacks for a while now. And if you were in here for our last live stream where we went over our 1 through 12 rankings in 1 QB and Superflex, you know that I'm a fan of overdrafting quarterbacks just based off of importance in Superflex specifically.
Yep.
But even then, man, I think if Ridder gets picked in the first round, Breece Hall's got to be off the board. Willis has got to be off the board. Wilson's got to be off the board. Burks has got to be off the board. Walker's got to be off the board. Olave's got to be off the board. Williams has got to be off the board. If it's a choice between Desmond Ridder and Drake London,
I'll go
Ridder. Desmond Ridder.
I'm going Ridder.
Yeah.
And I like Olave, and I like Jameson Williams. I like them both. If I'm thin at wide, if I'm not like, if it's not like, okay, I have 3 clear guys. if it's not that situation, like I have 3 clear week in, week out young starters, or not even young, just good wide receivers, like, yeah, that's in play. But if I'm secure at the position, or even like decent at the position, maybe my starters aren't spectacular, but my depth is good, I think you got to consider it. And again, I like Olave and I like Williams.
The thing that we got to take into account here, though, is that there is a large group of these quarterbacks. It's not just 3 guys and then really nobody else. A couple years ago, it was. I'm not gonna go there, but I mean, you got Sam Howell, you got Matt Corral, you got Carson Strong, who can all be gotten somewhere in the second round, at least at this point, if it was to be my guess. So if you put the premium on the players that you have up at the top, like the Jameson Williams and the Chris Olaves, and you have a early to mid-round, second-round pick where you can still invest in a quarterback like a Sam Howell or a Matt Corral or a Carson Strong, that the draft community is less high on because they do not offer the high-end rushing upside that Ritter and Willis do. I'm not shying away from that strategy either, even though, yes, if Ritter hits and Olave hits and Williams hits, you would much rather have a Ritter hitting on your team than Olave or Williams. It's just a risk tolerance issue for me. And sunken cost. But again, that can change with the landing spots, and we will be, again, live the entire draft with you guys, going through every situation that occurs. But next week, we're not going to be around on Thursday.
No, off next Thursday. This coming Thursday we're here. Next Thursday we're off. We have we both have a bachelor party to attend.
We're going to Denver.
Yep, we'll be in Denver, Wilson. Colorado. We'll go hang out with Russ. We'll see if he's there at Red Rocks. I think we're seeing some EDM concert.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll find out. But yeah, as far as the rookie mock drafting, Alex, I see Rojo put it in there. Sleeper does it as well. You can do any type of mock draft you want on Sleeper, which I know, Alex, you use MFL. If you can get your league to move off MFL and to Sleeper, I highly recommend it.
It's easier for your commissioner, honestly, and it's easier for everybody involved. Nick has gone through the whole situation of moving a team off of MFL over to Sleeper. You can speak to how easy it is as a commissioner.
I'll do it again if I had to.
Boom.
I'd do it again if I had to. Now, maybe you don't care about MFL if you're not the commish, and all you have to do is worry about, your own team.
I didn't mind it because I like tinkering and the customization and that sort of stuff. But the interface is tough and the app is terrible.
The app is not usable. Holy hell.
And it's kind of the opposite with Sleeper. Yeah. The Sleeper app is better than the Sleeper website.
Right.
The difference isn't as much. I really do like the Sleeper website too. But if you can move off of MFL, I think that would make everybody's lives a little bit easier.
Definitely the
commissioner and the user interface for everybody in the league.
Right.
Plus, it's a one-stop shop. You get all your alerts from Sleeper. Yep. You don't have to go to a different app for your alerts. You get the mock drafting functionality in Sleeper. There's a messaging component in Sleeper, so you don't have to message somebody in a WhatsApp to talk trade. You can just talk to them in the app in Sleeper. So.
Yeah, that's true. There's a whole, you can communicate. You don't even need to text if you don't, you could just communicate directly through the app.
There's a league chat that makes it fun when somebody makes a blockbuster trade, people are in there talking crap or saying, oh, great move for this team or, all that stuff. So it's like a camaraderie builder to that app, I believe, in terms of your leagues. So we're both proponents of moving over to Sleeper. But I also like rookie mock drafting apps. That was something that I was looking out for a while before the Sleeper move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sleeper offers those as well. You can pick your draft position. You can pick league size, what the format is. That it's got the works.
Yo, Sad J, what's going on? Good to see you.
What's up, Sad
Crumpy
Jay?
Heads, what's going on? Brees is absolutely the one-on-one in every format.
Absolutely.
If you disagree with me, fight me about it. Like, it's, I'm sorry.
I'll follow that up with a little less of aggressive comment. I don't see a scenario where Brees Hall gets drafted and, regardless of who else is there, doesn't take over the backfield relatively early, if not right away. He's that good. He's a better prospect than Najee Harris.
He's the best running back prospect that I've seen entering in the NFL draft since Saquon Barkley. He's a better running back prospect than Jonathan Taylor.
If he goes to the Cardinals, James Conner becomes obsolete relatively fast. I would be willing to bet. If he goes to, say, the Bills, who I feel like we would immediately not like for fantasy purposes because of the scheme that we're used to, where they're throwing the ball 105% of the time, Devin Singletary would become obsolete.
Real quick,
if he goes to Miami, and which I know we've talked about would probably be a shocker at this point, let's just say that happens. Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, Myles Gaskin, hit the road. See you later. Like, Brees Hall takes over any backfield.
Chase Edmonds would just slot back into the old Chase Edmonds role.
Yeah,
best.
he would, and I would feel worse about it than I did when James Conner was his complimentary, teammate.
And Tua would have to prove that he's Kyler Murray for me to get as hyped about that too, because a lot of Chase Edmonds' value came from having a top 5 fantasy quarterback handing him off the ball when they were running and all healthy. But I mean, Brees is the one.
Yeah,
and
Brees is the 101.
I don't see
Superflex 1 QB.
I don't see anything changing that.
No, not at this point. Something would have to go terribly wrong. Like, he tumbles in a way in the NFL draft that nobody's expecting.
Like in Superflex, if the Steelers found a way to get Malik Willis, I'd still be drafting Brees Hall first.
Yes.
It doesn't it almost doesn't matter what happens. Brees Hall 101. Everything else after that, complete question mark and kind of up in the air right now. But yeah.
Like if he goes to Houston, well, baby. There's a slew of areas there or of teams where he could end up, and he's going to be that team's 1A at worst. He's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
Only dude I feel somewhat comfortable saying that about.
And Rojo, you said the guy at number 2 in your league is notorious for drafting only running backs. Hey, that happens. There's a guy in both of the dynasty leagues that Nick and I are in who's notorious for drafting quarterbacks even in 1 QB leagues. He will just take a stab at a quarterback even though he has Justin Herbert and Matt Stafford in a 1 QB league. Like, it's just, he still took Trevor Lawrence. Like, it just, in a 1 QB league, it just happens. You got guys that lock themselves in on a position because they're in love with the position, and that's fine.
Right. Yeah, that's their strategy.
Yeah.
But then it also gives you an opportunity, at least to kind of peek into what their plan is.
Yeah, you can kind of plan out how your draft is going to go if you know the propensity of some of these league mates that you're in, that you're playing with.
Yep. Although if he's notorious for drafting only running backs and his RB1 is Rojo, he might want to reevaluate that strategy. It's rough.
Sad Jay, honestly, I've been so locked in on the offensive players in this year's draft. I know next to nothing about the defensive players in this year's draft outside of the cornerbacks, and that's only because the Bills are in need of a cornerback. So
Stingley, to that point, I think is expected to be good.
Sauce Gardner.
Yeah. Who's the edge guy? Walker. Trayvon Walker from Georgia. This guy is skyrocketing up the board. Skyrocketing. I saw like something from his athletic measurables from recently. I don't know if it was from the combine or his pro day, but he like the way that the way that he graded out. So whoever tweeted this, it was, some draft expert on Twitter tweeted that Trayvon Walker graded as well as like a highly athletic cornerback. Trayvon Walker's like 275 pounds.
Yeah, that's wild.
He's going in the top 5, and I have to imagine is an early favorite for defensive rookie of the year. This past season, the Bulldogs defense, Georgia's defense was outrageous at nearly every position. There is blue chip prospect after blue chip prospect coming off of that defense. Trayvon Walker might be the best one of the bunch. I got to imagine it's him. I was talking to one of my friends who went to Michigan. He's not high on Aiden Hutchinson relative to expectations. He thinks he'll be a decent player in the NFL, but not a star. That being said, we all expect him to go in the top 5. So take that for what it's worth. He likes the NFL. He's a Wolverine. He cares about Michigan more than any other program, college or NFL. He said outright, he said, I don't think Aiden Hutchinson's going to be that dude at the NFL level. I said, okay. I mean, can only take you
that happens.
Yeah. So for whatever that's worth, Trayvon Walker's got to be, I would think whoever ends up landing him is going to be happy. And then Stingley was in the conversation, was supposed to be in the conversation for the top 10, I think last year prior to the injury, or not last year. He returned to school and then got injured. He's shooting right back up. His draft stock is going right back up. I think, as far as cornerbacks go, as far as the defensive backs go, the vibes appear to be good on Stingley.
And I've heard a lot about Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner as well. Is he Cincinnati? Went to Cincinnati, I think.
I don't know.
I believe so.
Yeah. Johnny Jones. Hey, nothing's off topic here. Have you heard us rambling on about all the different topics?
All we do is ramble, bro.
So no worries there. But you got Swift, Deontay Johnson, and Josh Allen trade for Stafford, Godwin, Tyreek. You'd be getting the Allen trade.
Yes.
I would do that. Absolutely.
Holy hell. And Deontay. And, you get younger at quarterback. You're giving up Godwin,
Younger and better.
Tyreek is in a downgraded situation for fantasy purposes. You're getting Deontay, who, don't get me started.
You have Deontay ahead of Godwin, last I checked.
For now. But yes, Godwin's coming off an ACL tear.
And Swift, we both like Swift a lot.
We like Swift. We like Swift. I didn't mean to like. I feel like I set that up but I didn't mean to.
What's your team look like now after you press accept on that trade? You got with
smash accept on that, Johnny.
Yes, now
say yes to that deal. Absolutely. I like Godwin. I like Godwin a lot. But he's coming off an ACL tear. Re-upped with Tampa Bay. I know Tom Brady's back, which is great, but Godwin, okay. Here's the good news about Chris Godwin. I think he didn't suffer any additional damage to the ACL. I don't think it was was it an MCL, LCL, anything? I think it was just the ACL. That's the good thing. That's the good news. The bad news is the recovery time is still, and yes, we've made the medical field has made great advancements in the recovery time for ACL injuries. It's still 11 months, the rehab process. He tore it in November, which means he's probably going to miss the first 2 months of the season. And then that doesn't factor in the fact that he's not going to be doing football work this offseason. He's going to be rehabbing the injury. I worry about Godwin's 2022 on the whole. I hope I'm wrong because I love Chris Godwin, but this is, through no fault of his own, shaping up to potentially be a lost season for him. Again, I would love to be wrong.
Go that far.
He's going to miss September, and he's probably going to miss at least the first couple weeks of October. So I would say
I'm not willing to call that a lost season. It'll take a hit for his yearly long value, of course. But when he comes back, he's going to be arguably the number one target for Tom Brady.
Yeah. But we've also seen numerous occasions players aren't fully recovered from an ACL injury until a full year after the rehab process.
True.
Again, I love Chris Godwin. I would love to be wrong about this. I have my concerns for his 2022 season on the whole. Now, this is Dynasty, so 2023 and beyond, we're fine with him.
There have been situations where a player sustained an ACL tear, came back, and was better than they were pre-ACL tear. It's hard to imagine that happening for Chris Godwin because he was so good, but that happened with Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen tore his ACL, came back, and was better the next year than he ever had been. So there are outliers, and maybe Chris Godwin is that guy.
I hope he is. I hope he is.
Caveat that.
I hope he is. Well, didn't Keenan Allen, didn't he tear it and then tear it again in consecutive years? Or am I not remembering that correctly?
I don't remember.
Keenan Allen did suffer at least 2 season-ending injuries. I don't know if it was twice in 3 years or in consecutive years.
I know Odell did. he's still dealing with it. Yeah.
Right. And guess what? He hasn't been the same since. So anyway, Godwin, I'm concerned about for 2022, again, through no fault of his own. And then Tyreek, I mean, you don't need me to sell you on Tyreek. He's a top 5 receiver, but I think it's pretty fair to say this is a severe downgrade situation from a fantasy perspective.
You got younger at every position. Tyreek is an aging wide receiver. Not old. He's an aging wide receiver. I believe Deontay Johnson is a year younger than Godwin. I believe that. I'd have to look that up for certain.
I know Godwin's 25. Deontay will be 25. 26 in July, but that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Deontay's going to age gracefully. I'm not worried about him.
No, I just like that trade a lot. If you haven't smashed accept yet, smash accept.
Please do.
Walk away with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And then put your entire team. Put your entire team in the chat. I want to take a look at that squad.
Yeah, if you can get Josh Allen and Deontay
for that and
Swift,
oh man,
without having to unload the cupboard, like
no draft pick. It's a 3-for-3 trade.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Deontay Johnson was the 8th best wide receiver, I believe, in fantasy last season. Yep. On a points per game basis. So, yeah, you made out well.
Please,
and Alex,
man, I want somebody to offer something like that to me.
Fair enough. I'll definitely check out that app. I did notice when I was mocking in the Sleeper app, I couldn't.
Okay.
Tell the app which players specific teams liked or specific people liked, so I couldn't tell the app that the person who's drafting at 105 needs a running back, and it would just mock draft whatever the ADP is. So
let me take a look at this thing.
That's a good. Thanks for posting that in the Discord. We'll take a look.
Oh yeah, standard rookie.
And you use
Standard,
Sleeper for 3
Superflex.
leagues, ESPN for 5 leagues, and MFL for 2. We're not huge fans of the ESPN's format because they take away things like hybrid position players. I do believe that Cordero Patterson is just a wide receiver on ESPN. He doesn't have that, right? Wasn't that something that came up last year?
Sorry, I'm messing around with this. What's the question?
On ESPN, the hybrid player functionality with guys like Cordero Patterson, wasn't he just a wide receiver on
ESPN? Yeah.
So you lose out on that sort
worst.
of thing. So I would also say, and I've never used the interface. I don't know if the ESPN interface is good or bad.
It stinks.
I'm still an advocate of getting onto Sleeper in any league you're in.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, Yahoo over ESPN.
That also just might be our preference because we've been using Yahoo for 12 years.
I've used ESPN for multiple years. it stinks. If anybody likes ESPN, then more power to you. It's awful to me. There's too much navigating you need to to get to your own team. It's done. I can't even see. Don't get me started. You can't find like you can't find like the other matchups that are ongoing for the week without having to go down a rabbit hole. Yeah, I'm not a fan of ESPN in the slightest. I would take out MFL over ESPN. My fantasy league over ESPN. CBS Sports over ESPN.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go. And Alex, where is your rookie tier break for players you think will be valuable? Feels like after the top 22 to 25 range, it gets murky. I would say it gets murky way before that. And
or do you mean the NFL?
Spot,
in the NFL draft, maybe?
Rookie tier break.
Rookie tier break.
Yeah, I think this is in rookie draft.
Sorry.
And correct us if we're wrong.
So, got it.
I mean, there's a tier break for me after like 9. And then there's another tier break for me after probably 15. And then there's another tier break probably around the end of the second round.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I think there's going to be some interesting flyers that are going to be available in the second round. Here's the general consensus. Maybe that's not the right word, but general thought process that I've seen on Twitter a lot and that I've really warmed up to. First round, we know who's going in the first round. We know who's going probably stay in the top 15, maybe the top 20 picks in most scenarios, superflex or one quarterback. End of the second round, there's a lot of high upside wide receivers. Honestly,
I don't even know if there is.
No, because the middle of the second, the high to the middle of the second round is where you can get like your
after
Sky
the second
Moores.
round, draft running backs and tight ends.
The third round is where you want to draft running backs.
Yeah.
The third, yeah, I don't know if Brian Robinson's going to last to the third round, but he might.
Guys like James Cook, guys like Dameon Pierce, guys like Kevin Harris, guys like those are the guys that you should be looking at in the third round.
Yeah.
James Cook is a huge riser for me.
Kind of interested in Algiers, personally.
Okay.
He should be there in the third round.
I got to do a little bit more work on him. I'm not
kind of interested
super in on him, but we'll see. There are guys whose skill sets I like more, like James Cook.
He can't catch the ball, and that's guys usually that I like. But sometimes I zigzag. Obviously, it's stupid. Everybody likes running backs who catches the ball or who catch the ball. Like newsflash. Sometimes I zigzag on some of these types of guys where it's just like, I'm pretty sure you might just be a bruiser.
There's nothing wrong with having Gus Edwards or Jordan Howard in their prime. There's nothing wrong with having those guys at your RB4, RB5.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So if you can pick up a Brian Robinson, if you can pick up a Dameon Pierce, if you can pick up a Tyler Algier in the third round, and they can be a Gus Edwards, Jordan Howard type for your team, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I'll take that. Yeah. I think he's a converted linebacker, Algier.
Yep.
So he's a big guy. And this was interesting. He has one of the running backs in this draft class. I'm pretty sure I'm saying this correctly. One of the highest grades as far as percentage of backfield snaps and touches.
So he has a good college dominator?
Just as far as getting consistent work. So if that's what that directly that correlates to, then yeah.
It's a number that accounts to basically how much of the overall offensive production for their college team was accounted for by the said player.
I'm going to look this up. Yeah, 84th percentile. 35.8% college dominator score. Tyler Algier, baby. He doesn't do anything spectacular, so that's a little bit of a concern. But
yeah, I mean, as
college
far as
dominator score is pretty strong.
As far as tier breaks, though, I mean, yes, in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, draft running backs. In the 4th round, draft you're free range to draft any tight ends that are still on the board, anything like that, because tight ends typically fall, and it's not really a talent situation. Then it's just like there are all these tight ends that didn't get drafted because everybody likes other positions ahead of them. So 4th round there. In the 2nd round, I'm going wide receiver heavy there too.
Sky Moore, baby.
Sky Moore. Jahan Dotson, obviously, but Sky Moore. A little bit less hype on Christian Watson, but I like Christian Watson. Jalen Tolbert.
I thought you were super hype on him.
I was super hype on him when he's somewhere around the 3rd round, 2nd round, 3rd round turn.
Oh, because he's been a riser.
Now it's like you got to draft him at the 205, 204. And I don't know, like, there's a little, that is a little bit too rich for me. But he's got 4.36 speed. Comps to a DJ Chark. He also comps to a Denzel Mims, so we got to be careful. You know, with these hyper athletic prospects. That's why I like looking at hyper athletic prospects again at wide receiver in the 3rd round. Isaiah Weston, 3rd round, 4th round. When you got to draft them in the 2nd round and they're such high variance prospects, that's where I get a little worried, and that's why I'm not as high on Christian Watson, given what you have to pay up to get him. But I still love Jalen Tolbert. You really like
Watson?
Wan'Dale Robinson.
I like Wan'Dale. I do. I think he's a little guy. It's another like Rondale Moore type.
I got that penciled in right here. Rondale Moore type. But he has a 95th percentile breakout age, 18.7.
Love that.
99th percentile target share, so hyper targeted. Could absolutely be Rondale Moore.
I would take my chances on a player like that.
One player that I have to say I am walking back my take on is Justin Ross.
Okay.
I had Justin Ross completely off my boards.
Oh, warming up to him.
I am, because he has alpha wide receiver size. But in his first year at Clemson, as a freshman, 1,000 yards as a freshman. And then he sustained injuries, and he broke his back. He broke his leg, I believe, and suffered with his efficiency moving forward. When we did see him come back on the field, he wasn't quite the same explosive playmaker that we saw in freshman year. Now, after that freshman year, people are talking about Justin Ross being the wide receiver 1 in this class, projecting way out a couple of years ago in 2019. People were saying, Justin Ross, wide receiver 1 in this class because 1,000 yards as a freshman, incredible breakout age, one of the best hands catchers of the football that year while he was in college. And he's a separation specialist. He can create separation with his agility, which is not something you typically see from big wide receivers. He was completely off my board after the combine because there were rumors that he ran an unofficial 4.8. He did not. At his pro day, he ran a 4.64, I believe, which is still not super fast, but we've seen players get it done with that level of speed, and that's not accounting for he could still be working his way back from the broken back, the broken leg. It could have just taken him a little bit longer to get his feet underneath him. Depending on where Justin Ross goes, I'm not all the way out on him anymore, where I was before, and I just needed to correct myself there.
There you go.
Still not taking him over Jalen Tolbert, over Christian Watson, over Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson, or anything like that. But if he falls behind a Wan'Dale Robinson, maybe you can get him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I was going to say like early 3rd-ish.
Maybe like where you got Nico Collins last year. Something like that. But yeah, that's an overview of where our tier breaks are and players that we like in the 2nd and 3rd round and our draft processes there. So, yeah. I hope that helps. And Johnny Jones, good to hear. Trade went through. I would not feel any bit of regret on that. You made out great.
Yeah, you made out fantastic.
And your squad now is Josh Allen, DeAndre Swift, Leonard Fournette, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Mike Gesicki, Deontay Johnson, James Conner. Ooh, man.
Lock it in.
Look at those quarterbacks, too, on the bench. Cousins, Trey Lance. You got Bills D, which is one of the best defensive units in the league. I would drop Darius Geis, but you have Alexander Madison, Antonio Gibson, Curtis Samuel, Braxton Berrios, Van Jefferson, KJ Osborne. Oh, man. Albert O.
And he's got Albert O.
Bro.
And Brevin Jordan. Yeah, I think you're good. I would try to sell high on James Conner for maybe some picks if you're looking for any type of improvement.
Sell high on James Conner, and you can drop Geis for somebody else that's available on the wire.
But well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
good
if you
stuff,
want
Johnny.
an in-depth discussion on what you should be doing with your team, that is something that we offer to our members. So if that interests you and any of the other perks that are attached to being a member of this YouTube channel, check that out too.
Yeah. If any of the members are interested in one of those one-on-ones, we will have 2 slots available tomorrow night. We can talk about that a little bit later, if that's of any interest. But really quick, Alex had a trade question. Just above where Johnny posted his roster. Gave up Claypool and Michael Carter. I just traded for Claypool. But anyway, gave Claypool and Carter for Derek Carr in a Superflex tight end premium, and now you have Murray. Is that Baker and Trevor Lawrence
and Carr?
I mean, and Carr. I think you made out fine.
Yeah.
I think you made out fine. I mean, I like Claypool. I got him in a 1-quarterback league.
That move is it would have been tough for me to pull the trigger on that move because I like both of those players. But if you feel like you just want to solidify your quarterback 3 and you're not sold on Baker Mayfield being anything into the future and you think he's just going to be a backup, I see no problem with that.
And Carr's your 2, I think. I think Derek Carr slots in over Trevor Lawrence with his
in the short term for sure.
For this year, your quarterbacks are Kyler and Carr. And now Lawrence, you can let that cake bake a little bit. Let him prove it on the bench.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
I think that's fine.
Tough pill to swallow because I like Claypool and I like Michael Carter, both very young, promising
me
players.
Too.
But Derek Carr, solidify the most important position in Superflex is arguably your quarterback too, because we all operate. Everybody usually has a pretty good quarterback 1. Not everybody has a very good quarterback 2. You have a very good quarterback 2, and you have a very good prospect behind him.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So yeah, I think that's fine.
I'd be willing to argue the most crucial, like the linchpin of a good Superflex roster is a QB3.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah,
is a QB3 because, I don't need to tell anybody here. Injuries and underperformance happens, and having that flexibility is going to keep your team afloat. If you can slot a viable QB3, if your QB3 is performing like a QB2, you should make the playoffs. Like, that's it. That's all. That's it. I would be willing to, like, your linchpin is your QB3.
And Derek Carr was performing like a low-end QB1 this last year, and now he gets a healthy Waller, Devontae Adams instead of the combination of Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards. Yeah, I mean, he still has Hunter Renfrow. I believe Zay Jones is still there.
Didn't he sign? No, he signed with Jacksonville.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, Jacksonville gave out $1 billion to different wide receivers this year.
But solid pass catching back in Jacobs. I mean, Derek Carr to the moon this year, really. I mean, Derek Carr.
And their offensive line.
The more we're talking about this, the more comfortable I am.
Yeah, I feel fine about it.
Yeah.
And the offensive line stunk last year. There's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
So, I'm good with it.
And then a 12 team. I mean, if it was a 10 team, usually their quarterback depth, I mean, just by nature of the amount of teams you're playing against. But 12 team, that should give you a leg up on at least a couple of your teams. that you're playing against. So yeah, I like that. And Johnny
I'm
Jones
good with
again. Great team.
Yep.
Wish I had that team. Kilo, what's happening? Timothy
What's going on? Is it Kilo or Kylo?
Which side of this trade would you take? Ayuk in the 106 or the 103? Depends on the format.
Yeah, what is it? Superflex? Is it one quarterback? Is it PPR? Is it tight end premium?
If it's
let us know.
And that 103 can get you Malik Willis, I believe that is a.
Yeah.
Yes, I would take B. If it's not Superflex or you cannot get Malik Willis, I would stay at 6.
I prefer the Ayuk side. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Is there any PPR? I've seen, more people on Twitter float out, they have, points per carry settings. Not that would affect Ayuk
settings, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. People love tinkering with different scoring settings. I love that idea.
Superflex 12 team have PPR. So I mean,
so the 103.
Well, another question here. Have you talked to the people who have the 101 and the 102, and do you know which direction they're going in? Because if you move up to the 103 to take Malik Willis, and then Malik Willis goes to a place that the person at the 102 likes in the NFL draft and then takes him at 102, then you're kind of out of luck there, and that would suck.
Willis will be taking it too.
So,
well, I mean,
can you move up with Ayuk in the 106 to the 102?
Yeah. It's like how much do you like either Garrett Wilson or Treylon Burks? That's the question. We can't go all the way up to
Ayuk and Olave.
Can you take Kenny Pickett at the 103?
I wouldn't do that.
If he lands in Carolina and it's like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna beat out Sam Darnold right away. Like, all right, maybe, but that's a very specific scenario that we don't like. That might be Malik Willis's landing spot.
I think you can get Kenny Pickett at the 6th and hold on to Ayuk.
That's true.
Excuse me.
If Willis will be taken at 2, most likely, I think I stay at I think I keep Ayuk, stay at 106.
Into the 102 with Ayuk in the 106.
Then
I would
sure.
do that.
Oh, this guy.
Yes,
okay.
102 and 103. Okay, then send an offer for the 102 then. Counter and say, you know what, I don't want your 103. I want the 102. See if Ayuk is enough to move up 4 spots. See if that gets it done. And if it doesn't, come back here.
I would think because he has both the 2 and the 3, that's kind of like it's like, I'll give you the 3, but he's not going to say yes to that unless there's more involved.
You never know if you don't ask.
No, I got you. I'm just thinking like, if I were in this guy's shoes, where it's like I have the 102 and the 103, I'll offer the 103, but there's a reason I'm not offering the 102.
Right.
But obviously, yeah, I'm not. Maybe he'd go for it. I don't know.
Try it out. No harm in asking.
No harm in asking. The worst they can say is no. But if the answer is no, I'm not giving up that for the 103.
No.
Knowing that Willis is off the board. Yeah.
Ayuk is still a young wide receiver, and you should be able to get somebody like Kenny Pickett or Desmond Ridder at 106 if you still want to go quarterback. So I would hold.
The vibes, like Brandon Ayuk had a very weird season from an NFL perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, I think he was better than his rookie season. He was. He had 4 fewer catches, and remember, he was in the doghouse for a good amount last year. So I think his efficiency was just fine. He had more yards, receiving yards, and the same number of touchdowns. He had 5 both his rookie season and his sophomore season. The vibes are weird on Brandon Ayuk right now, but the production was fine. I would hold Ayuk.
Yeah.
That's the point. I would hold Ayuk.
And now they have offenses have to account for Deebo Samuel, where you weren't sure if they were going to have to last year at this time. You thought going into the season, most of us at least thought that it was Ayuk was the number 1 wide receiver there. That's not the case. Now he's the number 2. George Kittle's still there, so he's going to be dealing with single coverage, and he can do the most when going against single coverage. So, I like Ayuka a lot. I like Ayuka a lot. And Alex, you had to trade the 103 and Amari to get the 101. That's different. That's different. The 101, Breece Hall, the most bulletproof prospect in this year's draft. You do have to give up a player like Amari Cooper to do it. Now, did you have to give up Amari Cooper before the Deshaun Watson deal or after?
I would have to think it was after, because Amari Cooper's value was tanked with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's just that that whole situation was interesting to me. So I want to know when did you make that trade? What's going on, Brett? And Kilo, you have Fields, Lance, and Mills, so I'm not going quarterback in the first round. Now, we did just get finished saying that third quarterback in a super flex is not a bad move to pick up that depth with and because even if it doesn't work out for you and you want to move off him, teams in super flex leagues will overpay for quarterbacks.
Yes, they will.
Didn't you get a second from Marcus Mariota last year? Like, he wasn't even guaranteed to start. There weren't even any rumblings about that yet. And Marcus Mariota went for a second round pick.
The rumblings were that he was being involved in goal line packages for the Raiders offense. So I told the guy who I traded, I was like, "Yo, Mariota might be like a goal line running back. Give me a second round pick." And he said, "Deal."
Like, yeah. I mean, the quarterback
now that's
value,
appreciated for him better than you probably could have expected. But at the time,
right,
I was like, yeah, deal. I'll take that second round pick.
And that was when he was guaranteed to only get some red zone work on the Raiders.
Right.
Like, he was never going to supplant.
And it wasn't even a guarantee. It was just a rumor. I literally read a tweet from a Raiders beat reporter that Mariota was in on a goal line package in practice. Shared that little piece of information with my buddy who we're in this league with. Asked for a second round pick. 10 minutes later, the deal was done. So, yeah, people will pay for quarterbacks.
Overpay for quarterbacks, especially if they don't have one. So,
right.
Even if you go Ritter here and your gut is to go wide receiver or running back, best available. If you go Ritter here, best case scenario, you get a dual threat quarterback for the foreseeable future. Worst case scenario, you trade Ritter for one of the guys that you would have drafted. Like, there's a chance that you can trade Ritter straight up in the future for Drake London. Like, I don't know. It could happen. Stranger things.
Yeah.
Stranger things. Who's your favorite athlete of all time? Any sport. Good question, Slim.
Like on my team or ever? I guess of all time.
Well, break it up. Who's your favorite Eagle? Who's your favorite football player?
My favorite Eagle
Who's your
has
favorite
to
all-team and like athlete.
My favorite Eagle is Brian Dawkins. That's a layup. When I was a kid, and I never played football. I was always way too scrawny, but like I ran track and field. Anytime I needed like a hype video or whatever, I would just go on YouTube and just like, it would be like Brian Dawkins Weapon X, the ultimate weapon or whatever. And it plays that super intense music, and it's just highlights of him just like creaming people, like just tackling people into submission. Love Brian Dawkins. Off of my team,
LT in it.
My first thought goes to LaDainian Tomlinson. Yeah. He's the best running back I've ever seen. One of the best offensive playmakers I've ever seen. Just a straight up. Just regardless of position. One of the best football talents I've ever seen in my life. And that man was handling 30 touches a game every game. He was a horse.
He was different.
LaDainian Tomlinson was something else. He is probably the first catalyst of my love for fantasy football and just the NFL in general. It's like I didn't for the first, I didn't like, I played fantasy like starting maybe I was a late bloomer, I guess, maybe like freshman year of high school. I played, but I didn't care to like watch other games for like several years after that. Which I know sounds weird, but it was because of LT.
Weird,
it was because of Tomlinson. Like being able to catch his games, having him on my team the year that he broke the touchdown record, and like, oh, it's Monday night, the Chargers are playing, I get to watch Tomlinson. Oh, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, cakewalk. I'm like, this guy's unbelievable. LaDainian Tomlinson would be my answer.
All right.
Unreal. He was unreal.
Favorite fantasy player or just athlete of all time?
I mean,
both.
Who didn't play for one of my teams? Who did not play for a team that I root for outside of fantasy? It's Tomlinson. He was unreal. He was unbelievable. Broke the touchdown record.
Yeah. That's one guy. I mean, I
don't think
I came into just football in general late because I didn't live in the United States for a long time, and my dad was from Buffalo, New York. I never lived there, but he, like that picture behind me, I don't know if you see it. That's Jim Kelly. It was given to me when I was 5 years old, but I was in Pakistan at the time. Weird. I never watched football growing up. I started watching football because of a fantasy team that I drafted that we're still in when I was drunk on the couch freshman year. So
nice.
So I don't have like a guy that's I've like stuck with me like a LaDainian Tomlinson for you. My favorite athlete on my favorite team has got to be the Josh Allen right now. It's got to be.
I mean, that's fair.
Because who am I going to choose? Like, I guess before that it was Ryan Fitzpatrick because he's just like a lovable dude. But like, I didn't have very good players to like tie myself to as a Bills fan for like 20 years.
Fred Jackson.
Now it's Josh Allen. Fred Jackson was up there. Fred Jackson was up there too. He was ahead of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's be real. But favorite athlete of all time.
Tomlinson still has the single season
any
touchdown
sport
record too.
My first like real big sports thing was hockey. It was the Stanley Cup for the Buffalo Sabres back in the day. They didn't win, but the best player, like that team was not a good team. They just had the best goaltender in the world.
Was that Hasek?
Dominic Hasek. He is
Hasek.
The first like the sport.
Yeah, he was
the
really
first
good.
Sports memory I have was me being able to stay up late and watch that game with him, and it was just so that's probably my favorite athlete of any sport. Probably going to change now with Josh Allen being so great. And in terms of favorite fantasy athlete of all time, that's tough. I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to come back on that one.
Who was the best player on the first team that you won with? That's usually
I had LT when he was a Jet on that team, and
there's no way he was your best player.
He wasn't my
though.
best player. I mean, Arian Foster was really good on that squad.
There you go.
Brandon Lloyd for the one season that Brandon Lloyd was good.
Brandon Lloyd did have a cup of coffee where he was really good.
Yeah, I would have to go back to that team.
The 49ers?
No, that was on the Denver Broncos, I believe.
He was on the Broncos. Okay.
Yeah, Brandon Lloyd on the Broncos.
There you go.
But none of those guys were my favorite players. I just drafted a great team that happened to win the entire league when I was drunk freshman year.
Well, I didn't have LT the first year I won. I didn't have LT, so that's fair. Yeah, you were on the couch. That's fair.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about football. I just drafted players that I had heard people talk about when we were playing Madden together. Then it worked out. Don't follow that draft strategy.
Go back to that strategy.
No. Brett, what's going on? When people offer trades that are unbalanced, I take offense to that. Yo, me too. Sometimes. I assume they think I'm dumb and I get insulted.
So, yeah. First of all, sometimes I'm just happy to get a trade offer at all. Sometimes we've got some dormant managers in some of our leagues where it's like, I never hear from them. But I mean, I hear you, and I can't stand that. But like, if I know for a fact it's your first offer and I'm gonna hear from you again, and like if there's even marginal mutual interest and I know that like we could talk through a deal, okay, that's one thing.
True.
Like you give me I know you're giving me a low ball offer, but at least also I know like, okay, at least there's like a benchmark that's been established and we're going to go up from there. Okay, fine. But yeah, I can't stand people who like, they make one offer, it's their final offer, and it sucks from the jump.
And if you try to negotiate with that person, they will come back with the same caliber of offer involving different players. I mean, I'll just say it. There's a guy in one of our leagues that is notorious for it. We all love him. He's a great dude. His name is David.
He's a good dude.
He's a really good dude. Really good
he's a great guy.
But every trade offer over the past 12 years where we've been in a league with him is just the most outrageous trade offer ever. And it's just like, bro, I know you don't know. I know you don't think I'm stupid.
Every time I'm staring at my phone,
you're just trying to win every trade that you're in.
Yeah.
By a long shot. I know you don't think I'm stupid, so I don't take
He tries to fleece.
To that.
He goes for the clear fleece, the clear where it's like he won like and you didn't.
If you're getting a trade notification from David, you can just basically auto cancel. And
here we go.
Move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta know the people to not get insulted too. If I didn't know David, and there was just some random league of some dude that I joined, or a friend of some league that I joined, and he kept sending me these crazy offers, I'd be like, bro, no,
dude,
you are insulting me. Stop. I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
it's annoying. Yeah.
There's a balancing act there.
I think I've come to an agreement with him on like one trade. One deal. It worked out okay. It was like a Joe Mixon trade a few years back before Joe Mixon was Joe Mixon. Worked out all right.
I do remember that.
Worked out okay.
The one trade in 12 years.
The one time. Yup. I countered him. I sent him like I texted counter this and this. I was surprised he went for it, but it happened.
He's still gotta give me the trophy.
Oh,
our league trophy. He's still holding on to it. Kilo, my wide receivers.
He's gonna offer you a lopsided trade in order to get it.
Hey, probably. Your wide receivers, Kilo, are Chase, Metcalf, Waddle, Judy, Ayuk. Damn.
Nice.
So my logic was move the 106 and Ayuk for the 103, hoping to get Garrett Wilson or Treylon Burks.
Or you could keep Ayuk and end up with Olave.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all. I know that you're thinking consolidate and move your worst wide receiver prospect to get better at the position.
But I think you can like achieve a third in the trade, like
both things. Like I know you like Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Jameson Williams and Chris Olave.
Nah.
The draft is a crapshoot. And honestly, if you have a wide receiver in mind at 106, and then you know you're going to miss out on Hall and Willis, and you're targeting a wide receiver at 3, I wouldn't be making that deal until I knew landing spot. Then maybe landing spot would clear things up a little bit for me, where I would clearly rather have Garrett Wilson going to the Buccaneers over Chris, you know what I mean.
Chris Olave, yeah.
Chris Olave going to
I love
the Lions
Wilson. I do. I love Wilson. If it's a smash, if the spot wherever he ends up is like, holy hell, he's going there. He's playing with that guy.
If Garrett Wilson goes to the Packers, then yes. If he goes to the Chiefs, sure. Then maybe.
Well, if he's going to the Chiefs, then definitely. But yeah, I mean, I think you are not getting you're not losing too much value by passing on Wilson and Burks, picking up Olave or Jameson, and also retaining Ayuk.
Yeah.
I don't think you're losing too much in value there. If anything, I think I'll say it again. I think there's a negative vibe around Ayuk right now because he had a weird season, right? He started off in the doghouse. Statistically, he was fine.
I would rather have. I'll just say it right now. I would rather have the combination of Ayuk and either Olave or Jameson Williams over having one Garrett Wilson.
Just Garrett Wilson. Yeah. I understand that. Brandon Ayuk had I know we're talking dynasty. Brandon Ayuk ultimately ended up with a redraft ADP like in the high 5th round, was sneaking into the 4th round last year. Put up the same numbers or very similar numbers that he did that got him that ADP in the first place, and now he's being drafted in the 8th round. Watch that Ayuk stock go up.
Yeah. That's the move. That's the move. At least, if you're dead set on it, at least wait until the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And during the NFL draft, tune into the channel. We'll be going live the whole time.
We will be live for the NFL draft if anyone's interested in coming and hanging out.
Alex, that's good information to know.
Okay, before the Watson trade. Got it.
But yeah, I mean, he's going to be a wide receiver 1 regardless.
Yeah, I mean, if it was going to be
101 more than him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If it was going to be Baker, obviously it's like, but he would still be getting a ton of volume. But yeah, I mean, you're going to get Breece Hall. So
yeah, you got to pay for what you pay for. So
yeah, like
I love it.
You're getting Breece Hall
is
regardless.
a young running back prospect too. He's not even the old prospect that Najee Harris was, that Rachaad White is. He's a year younger. I think he's going to be 22 when the league year starts this year. So yeah.
Who?
Breece.
Breece will be 21 at the end of May.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep. We're going to be making jokes about how Najee's 30 by like next year.
Isn't he already? And yo, Kilo, maybe you find a way to trade 103 and then trade for 101.
That's going to be a lot of capital.
That's giving up a lot, because then you're giving up Ayuk to move up to 3, and then you're giving up what? You're giving up a Judy to move up to 1. If you're only getting rid of wide receivers here, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, but I mean, if you're, I don't know if you can. I think that might be giving up too much. If you can move just one wide receiver like an Amari Cooper to move up a few spots and get your guy at 101, sure. If you got to make 2 separate moves, giving up good players or good future draft capital, when you could stand pat and get good value where you're at, just to get the number 1 prospect in the draft. We all like Breece Hall. We all love Breece Hall. I think that's giving up too much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yo, Anderson Silva and Troy Polamalu.
Dang.
Yo, Polamalu was wild.
Silva was one of the best MMA I mean, I'm not a big MMA guy, but I know he's one of the best MMA fighters like ever. So Polamalu was one of those dudes where it was like, I wish I could clone this man and make 16 of him and just put him at different positions on my team.
That's a guy who coincided with me watching football. Like I wasn't there for the beginning of his career, but I saw him in his prime and close to the end. And until the end. I mean, I saw how good he was with that Steelers defense. Like, yeah.
He was the catalyst. Like, he was so smart. He he was just brilliant, clearly brilliant on-field football player.
You ever hear him talk about it? You ever hear Troy Polamalu talk about?
I'm sure I have
how
in
he
passing.
Figures out. It's like faith-based. He will hear God tell him something. That's what he attributes it to.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. There's a specific video where he's talking about lining up in a specific position on a field goal against the Indianapolis Colts, and Pat McAfee made a huge deal about it, so it became a social media thing, and there's a few videos on it. And it is it's just interesting, man, that he just would get these he described them as feelings, and he attributed them to religion because he's very religious. Nothing wrong with that.
He's a very devout person.
But yeah,
I did know that.
Just the feelings that he would get without any real like indication to like the rest of the team. He would just get a feeling, line up in a different way on his own. The entire rest of the team of the defense would be like, all right, you do you, Troy. You got it.
Troy's doing his thing.
Right.
Forget it.
And they would just let him do his thing, and he would usually be right. Like it was, he was different.
He made he
was different.
All he did was make plays. Yeah. All he did was make plays. Was in the right place at the right time most of the time.
Incredibly hard hitter. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he would lay out too. Yeah. We got a lot of good secondary play around that time. Doc, him, Ed Reed. Hall of Famers. Bang, bang, bang.
And Kilo, as far as the tier, I do believe both Nick and I believe that the tier in the first round ends at 107, 108, 109. You're at the 106. You're firmly in that tier. So you don't have to worry about a tier break after the first 3 picks. Like, we're not sure there's going to be one. We like all the prospects pretty much up until 106. So you're still solidified getting a very good top-tier talent at 106.
Yeah.
Especially in Superflex.
And it's in Superflex, yeah. So there's going to be one of the premium prospects available. It's just a number, like, they have to be. There's no question.
Yeah. And yeah, wait until draft day, see how things fall. But I would honestly be happy staying with Ayuk in 106 because you can probably make out real well there too.
I prefer that. I know I've talked. I want to see. I think Brandon Ayuk's ADP is around like 87 or something like that. I just want to double check that to be sure. I know we're slightly comparing apples to oranges, talking dynasty versus redraft, but player value kind of goes hand in hand. If the vibe is down on him in redraft, there's a good chance it's in a short term down on him in dynasty as well. Okay, I was a little off. His ADP is 72.5, almost 73. So still, I mean, seventh round ADP for a player who was going well into the top 50 last year, and the production was the same. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk's stock will rise. It will go up.
And people are down on him because there's uncertainty with Trey Lance and Jimmy G and that whole situation. I don't want to trade a future very good asset at wide receiver while his value is down the way it is based on the current perception of the offense that he's going to be playing in for the next few years.
That's why I made a trade to acquire Chase Claypool.
Boom.
And was willing to give up a late first. Well, it was the 108. Where do you? Here's a question. Where do you start transitioning from, like, I have a mid first round pick to a late first round pick? Where's that?
I think it depends on the draft that you're looking at. In this draft, anything after the 106 to me
is a late first.
In a 1 QB league is a mid, at least value wise, mid to late first.
More of a later first.
Yes, you can get Drake London. Yes, you can get Malik Willis, 1 QB. Yes, you can get, but then you're talking about Rashad White, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Zamir White in a 1 QB. You might not need a quarterback, so Malik Willis might not be a priority for you. So yeah, at the 107, you're looking at the last very good prospect
like
in a 1 QB. Drake London, Jamison Williams. In a 2 QB, you're 109. After the 109, you're talking about basically 201 value for the next 3 picks.
Like the 110, the 111.
Yeah, 110, 111, 112, to me, has the same overall value in terms of the player that you're getting as the 201. If that makes sense. Because, George Pickens, I like him a lot. He is more of a second-round pick to me. Rashad White, I like him a lot, is more of a second-round pick for me.
So there you go.
Zamir White, like him a lot, is more of a first part of the second round for me. That's again why the 2023 class is so sought after, because that doesn't happen in the 2023 class. You can get guys projected out, but you can get guys in the early second that should be first round picks in this year's draft. So
yeah, a late first in 2023 is going to be the 204. Like that's that's the expectation.
A late first in this draft is going to be the 204 next year. Is what you're saying?
That's in the 2023 class. A late first will be the 204.
Yeah.
Just making jokes over here. So, yeah, acquire those 2023 assets if you can.
And on draft day, if you're at the turn, if you're like Rojo and you have the 201,
yeah,
you can move that into getting somebody's first-round pick next year. Stranger things have happened. That does happen.
People's eyes get big. Their eyes get bigger than their stomach or whatever the saying is.
They see a player that they were not thinking was going to be there, still there, that they rank very highly.
Yeah.
And they do the most to get that player.
Or they just get excited.
There was somebody, a Dynasty podcast that I was listening to before we started Face Mask, and they were talking about a guy moving a first-round pick to get a third, to draft a guy that he liked that fell in the third. He gave up a future first.
Someone's eyes got way too big.
Right, so it happens. So
never a bad idea to test those waters. And that's why, it makes sense. Make your individual draft picks, even if it's a 5-round draft, make them at least 5 minutes in length. Give yourself that opportunity to have those conversations, those those up to the minute conversations to negotiate any deals. I'm sure there are some leagues that do longer. We have 5 minutes per pick. I'm sure there are some leagues that do 8 or 10. We just have some old heads in our league that like to carry on with their day and get things over with quickly. I'd like to up that a little bit to like 10 minutes.
I think you should for the first round.
For the first round should be like 10 minutes and then maybe bump it to 5, something like that.
Yeah.
Good conversation to have.
Another conversation. I texted you about this. Taxi squads.
There you go, Kilo, for 2023 first. We got a few people in here who have multiple 2023 firsts. Good job, everybody. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I do too. I got 3. I don't have 4, Kilo. I'm hoping to have 4 by the time the 2023 draft rolls around, so I'm with you.
Give me one of them.
No, you give me yours. But yo,
I already did.
Taxi squads. In Dynasty League specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They confused me when I first moved into doing Dynasty. I was like,
I presented them and people were like, we don't want them.
Right. Now I'm fully turned around and I am a advocate for getting taxi squads in every single league.
More players, more development.
Well, yeah, because if you're drafting a guy like a Jelani Woods and you know that he's likely not gonna pan out for 3 seasons, and then you kind of have to quote unquote waste a roster spot on him, or you draft a guy like last year, Kyle Trask, who it's not a huge chance that he works out, but you drafted this guy. You did this scouting on this guy. You liked his landing spot, and you want to hold him, but not at the expense of winning with your current bench and your current starters. And that's what you have to do when you don't have a taxi squad. Yeah. So I'm fully in on taxi squads. Fully in.
We don't currently have them. I know a lot of Dynasty leagues do. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I hate to I feel like we're throwing our friends under the bus a lot this pod, but sometimes you just have narrow-minded people that you're playing with, and it's either they don't understand. No, it's not either. They don't understand, therefore they don't want it because they don't understand. People don't like what they don't know. And instead of like familiarizing themselves with it, they just say no. So it's nice to play with open-minded people, I guess, is the
And I'm just saying, hey, if you don't have taxi squads in any of your leagues that you're set up in, and they're dynasty leagues, throw that out to your commissioner. See if you can get that done, because they are beneficial.
Yeah, it's fun. The argument is like, well, we already have 30 roster spots. Well, it's like, well, then you're not in the spirit of playing Dynasty.
Right. Do you play Dynasty to hope that you can pick up one guy off waivers that wins a league for you? Or do you play Dynasty because you do the scouting work to draft players that you think can help you in the future and want to keep them on your team? Right. If I wanted to just play in a league where I could have a chance at picking up a guy off waivers like Elijah Mitchell last year and he brings me to a championship, then I would just play redraft.
Right.
But I'm doing the work to scout these players and do the work on the teams that they're going into and how long they should take to marinate before they start seeing starter reps and all that stuff. in a dynasty league specifically, and I don't want to have to be limited by, albeit a deep bench, but a bench. If I want to hold a guy for 3 seasons without ever putting him on my active roster, I want that capability.
Mm-hmm.
See there, Alex? You got taxi squads, and now everyone's happy about it. See, people just need to be exposed to it.
Too. Yep.
And then they'll accept it.
People don't like what they don't know until they know it, and then they're like, "Oh, we should have been doing this all along."
It's like Superflex.
Thanks for
nothing. We
nothing.
started a dynasty league, and half of the league wanted to be 1 QB, and the other half of the league wanted to be Superflex. And I believe when I started it, I voted for 1 QB. And now I'm wishing that league was Superflex, because I've been exposed to more Superflex leagues, and I like that format more. Sometimes all you need is a little bit of exposure to a new thing in order to be all about it in the future.
I was trying to be diplomatic and put it to a vote. I should have just been a dictator and said, "This is what we're doing."
A dictator? Nailed it.
There you go.
Boom.
If you don't like it, play somewhere else.
Love it. Love it.
I rule with an iron fist. Should have. Didn't. I was too nice. I need to be less nice.
Next time.
Just
make the switch. Just do it one day. Toggle it. Just make it Superflex one day.
I would cause an uproar. That would be some fun chaos to create.
Oh, man.
Hey, guys.
Surprise.
Hope everybody had a good weekend. We just changed our format a little bit. Cool. I would ruffle feathers.
Just do it, just to see what happens, and then switch it back. But do it.
I would ruffle feathers.
I want to see it. I want to see the chaos.
Well, you're not the one that would have to deal with the backlash of that chaos, so of course you want to see it.
Oh, you would just ignore them all anyway.
I do like ignoring text messages. I do like ignoring texts.
But yeah, do we got any other questions in the chat today?
Any other talking points?
We will be back here for the members only stream tomorrow, and we'll be back again for everybody, regardless of members only or not, on Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah. If there's any members we did a couple of one-on-ones last week. If there are any others who are interested in doing a one-on-one where we sit down and go over your dynasty team with you for 15-20 minutes. Let us know. Again, I'll share, and I'll send a little reminder tomorrow in the Discord if anybody wants to tentatively plan to do that tomorrow. Again, after the members stream, happy to set that up. Back with the full group back with everybody Thursday. Thursday we will be doing if anybody missed it, we did do our rookie rankings for 1 through 12 for both 1 quarterback and Superflex last Thursday. This Thursday, we're going to do 13 to 24. So a little bit more digging, a little bit more homework. But John and I will be revealing on Thursday, during the Thursday stream, rookie rankings 13 through 24 for both 1 quarterback and Superflex. We'll rehash quickly our rankings for 1 through 12 that day, just as like a precursor.
Yeah.
But if anyone's interested in our top 24 for this class, you can tune in for the second half of that on Thursday.
And Rojo, we'd love to have you tomorrow. So come through, do us a favor in the Discord. Drop your if you're on Sleeper, drop your league name, not your league name, your team name, so we can look up your roster and get a little familiar with your roster and your team and the rest of your league and some of the free agents beforehand, so we can give you some in-depth ideas for you moving forward. If anybody else is interested in that sort of thing, let us know. Some other perks that we want to get moving on. We want to start doing some leagues with y'all. We want to start drafting with y'all, maybe set up guillotine leagues, set up some redraft, maybe possibly find a way to figure out a dynasty league in there too. So if any of y'all that aren't members have interest in that, let me know. Let us know. And we would love to have you as a member. If not, join our Discord. Nick did a great job setting up our Discord, and it's been a lot of fun just going back and forth with you guys on the Discord, regardless of whether it's members only or not. So
just keeping the conversation going.
And Rojo, I'm higher on Zamir White. Zamir White. Zamir White is like a borderline first round pick in this draft. Probably for me is ranked like around the 201. Damian Pierce is like the 210, 211, 212 for me.
They're right there. They're very close.
They're close in terms of what kind of prospect they are. Mm-hmm. I like Zamir White more because Zamir White comes with that 4.4 speed. And correct me if I'm wrong, Damian Pierce does not. What he has is like a great Senior Bowl showing. I believe he was a standout running back at the Senior Bowl, which is great. Brian Robinson was too. But Zamir White has the prospect profile that I would chase more.
Agreed. It's close. Like they're not. It's not a significant difference, but yeah, slight edge to Zamir.
But they're both the same type. They project to be the same type of back.
And if they're the same type, give me the one who's faster.
Right. But they're the bruiser. They're the bruiser type. But I agree with you 100%. But I think that wraps it up for today. A little bit shorter of a stream. We're not going for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Nothing wrong with that, even though we love those ones too.
Yeah.
But
we'll be going for 3 or 4 draft night.
Yeah. I really can't wait for that. Can't wait for draft
That's
night.
going to be fun.
Once again, draft night. Join us. We'll be live. And once again, next Thursday, we are going to be off. So keep that in mind. We'll throw reminders at you every time we stream from now until then.
The 14th, we're here. In 2 days, we'll be doing rookie rankings 13 to 24. The 21st, we are off. We'll both be on. We'll both be on flights headed to Denver for a bachelor party.
But I think that does it for the stream. I implore you guys to go after this stream. Stay on YouTube and look up that Brian Dawkins Weapon X video that Nick was talking about.
Yeah, if you need something to get hype about.
It is a fun watch. So
it's a lot of fun.
Check that out. But until next time, have a great couple of days. If you're not a member, we won't see you tomorrow. We'll see some of you members tomorrow. Alex, have a great time at your happy hour.
Yeah, enjoy the happy hour.
And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.